Good evening, everyone. Hello to all of you. Thank you. My name is Ann Camps, and on behalf of the William J. Clinton Foundation, the National Archives, the University of Arkansas Clinton School of Public Service, and the Clinton Museum Store, it is my honor to welcome you to the Clinton Center Volunteer Recognition Ceremony on this, our 10th year. Tonight, as we have done for 10 years, we gather to say thank you. Each of you, in your own way and distinctive way, has blessed the Clinton Center with your invaluable expertise, your warm sense of humor, your seemingly unending, unselfish giving of your money and your time. From November 1st, 2013, to October 31st, 2014, you contributed 56,232.33 hours. With an in-kind commitment of 78,093. Okay. You see, I have 64-year-old eyes, and Tina doesn't, and she wants to make sure that I know what I'm doing. Now, we figure your in-kind volunteer hour monetary contribution based on a national figure. So, we didn't just make these numbers up. Since 2004, November 18th, you have contributed 489,546.65 hours at an in-kind monetary commitment of $10,837,924. Give yourself a hand. As always, I have some individual thank yous. A big thank you to Fred Strebeck, who could not be here tonight, Carol Burgett, Kathleen Pate, and Shannon Abbott, our fantastic Clinton Foundation intern, for helping us prepare for tonight's event. I want to take a moment to introduce our special guests, the students from Episcopal Collegiate High School. Could y'all please stand up? Where are you? You're here somewhere. Riley Blair, who is the student leader for Homes for Haiti. Gracie Kreff, who is the Art Club student leader. Lily Warren, Alicia Duvall, Andrew Matthews, Liddell Tyler, and their art teacher, Joy Schultz. They have spent many hours creating those amazing pins and refrigerator magnets that are Homes for Haiti. And all of that money that the museum store makes selling those Homes for Haiti goes directly to the Clinton Foundation for the Homes for Haiti's project. So a special thank you to our high school students who have been helping us. And a special thanks to our high school students who are here tonight, Dylan Wright, Will Davis, and Azita. Where are y'all? Are y'all seated in here yet? Yay for you! They are all seniors in high school, and Will actually came here from Orlando, Florida. So Thank you for being here, and thank you for that many hours that you contributed this summer, and Azita for the hours you continue to give us. If these kids are any indication of the future, then we're in good hands. A huge thank you to Terry Garner, and to Kurt, and to Kathleen Pate, and to the entire NARA staff, and especially to Christine Mao, who made our wonderful docent and volunteer awards posters for us. We heard your words asking us to shorten our program. And so we announced our winners for our volunteer awards via posters. Thank you, Terry, for allowing your NARA staff to do those awards for us. And thank you for always making us feel important. You and Kurt and Kathleen are just wonderful to work with. To Dean Rutherford, and to your staff, and to your students, and to Kathleen Brown, who is here somewhere. Thank you for yourself, for the work you do, for the support that you give us, for your students who always want to volunteer and then find out that the curriculum is so difficult that they don't have time to volunteer. But Catherine has found time to volunteer, and so thank you for your students, and thank you for the incredible interest that you bring to us, and we're happy to be able to talk to our hundreds of thousands of visitors about the Clinton School. A special thanks to the Clinton Foundation staff, to Joyce Willis, to Joyce Kubin, to Molly Webb, to Mac Mathis, for all the help you gave us, particularly during the 10th anniversary. We were under the gun to present a lot of Clinton Center volunteers, and you all rose to the occasion. A special thanks to all of our staff and to all of the volunteers for the work you did. And tonight, a special thanks to the 42 staff. As always, you delivered. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Paige. Thank you to your amazing staff. I want you to know I have to buy lunch on Friday for Harry and Ellen Marshall because Alabama did not beat Auburn by 4 touchdowns. But because the money is going to the Clinton Foundation and 42, I consider it an honor. A special thanks, I don't know if she can hear me or not, to Lena Moore. Lena started off as your volunteer coordinator, and I can't tell you this very strongly, but she is extraordinarily kind. And she has such a warm friendship and a determination to do her best and to give her best. And for that, we give thanks tonight. And Stephanie, to you and Bruce, you have set an example to us, particularly through the 10th anniversary, for us to reflect on all that this center means to us and why we are here and why we give our time. And we want to say thank you to your guidance, to your leadership, to your determination to make us do our best. And we are here to honor and revere the 42nd President of the United States. Thank you for letting us give our time. To Megan and Tina, there are just no words. Every year, I try to think of something new to say, and I can't. Because we are a team. And there's no I in team, but I'm pretty sure that for us, a team, there's a 3 in team. I just know it. Now, I have to admit, I'm 64 years old. 64, Mr. Pat. And I know that I'm not the person I was when I was 29. But Megan is everything I wish I were. And when I was in my 40s, I wish I were Tina. And all I can say is that in all of my years of working, I have never been as blessed as I am working with them. And I want y'all to say thank you to them. And I have to just say this, and this isn't in the script. During the preparation for the 10th anniversary, every day there was a new requirement for how many volunteers we needed. Y'all know because we only send out 10 to 12 emails a day. We know that you only volunteer for the Clinton Center, and you only sit there in anticipation waiting for our emails. And if it's noon and you haven't received an email from the Clinton Center, you wonder what's wrong. And have either Tina or Megan or I gotten sick? Y'all came forth, and when they said we need 40 volunteers for the picnic and the concert, y'all stepped up. I cannot say thank you enough. You were wonderful. Thank you for making that a success. I also want to say that we have some comments from TripAdvisor, and I want to just read one that says, Clinton plus Chihuly equals wonderful visit. We did a Thanksgiving road trip from Atlanta to Bentonville, Arkansas to visit Crystal Bridges. Little Rock was the midway stop. Neither disappointed. As others have written, the history and events of this 8 years in office are well presented. It is always a joy to look inside the White House and our government. And that is from someone from Atlanta, Georgia. And someone from Denver, Colorado wrote, it is a wonderful presidential library. It reminds me that what an excellent president William J. Clinton was. Regardless of party lines, he accomplished an incredible amount during his 8 years in office, and his building and park are an excellent tribute to his legacy. That was from Denver, Colorado. At this time, I am happy to welcome to the stage the chairman and the board of the Clinton Foundation, Bruce Lindsay and Stephanie Street, the foundation's executive director.
I don't need the stool, so I'm just like, thank you.
We may need that. Stephanie and I are excited this year, as we are every year, to announce and recognize the top 42 volunteers to the Clinton Center in terms of total hours. We will host these volunteers at a reception in the executive suite this spring. While it is true every year, it is especially important to remember this year, our 10th anniversary, that we could not operate here without the time and dedication and commitment of the volunteers, for which we are profoundly grateful. Stephanie will now read the name of the top, there are actually 44.
Okay, great. And very briefly before I read the names, I too want to reiterate everything that Ann said and that Bruce just said about you and your service. The 10-year anniversary was a huge, huge success, and it would have never, ever happened without each and every one of you, so we are profoundly grateful for your service. The 42 award winners this year are Catherine Babb, John Bangert, Betty Berry, Georgie Boucher, Joy Broach, Carol Burgett, George Campbell, Betty Cook, Pat Edwards, Owen Floyd, Kat French, Jesse Gatewood, Bob G., Dennis Hackbart, Margaret Hartley, Coralie Hawkins, Lemoyne Jones, John Joyce, Sherry Joyce, Ken Kenning, Hank Klein, John Lambie, Louis Leslie, Shirley Mahone, Cornelius Millette, Leon Marks, Bill Candless, Tony Maloney, Shirley Montgomery, Pat Oakes, Peggy Oakes, Jenny Pace, Patsy Pack, LaBethel Peters, Peggy Perkis, Joanne Ray, Jinky Redden, Peggy Reynolds, Joe Schmidt, Patsy Sharp, Elizabeth Ann Smith, Fred Strebeck, David Williams, and Marvis Williams. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you.
Okay, I have no stool. Okay. So we will announce the Spirit of the Center Award a little bit later. But is Carol Bohannon here? I know I saw her. As you know, normally we ask our Volunteer of the Year to introduce our special guest. Carol is going to join me. As all of you will remember, Miss Betty Velacevic was our 2013 Volunteer of the Year. Very sadly, Betty passed away about a year ago, a week from now, just before she was presented her Volunteer of the Year award. Tonight it falls to me to introduce to you someone to whom I simply owe everything. And Carol is here as her daughter to help me present this, make this introduction. All that I am and all that I have been fortunate enough to become, I am because I have a chance, because someone gave me a chance. I was inexperienced, I was unknown, I was unproven, and I was a stranger in a new place. I was someone who had only a heart on fire to make a difference. Tonight, at last, 30 years later, I have a chance to say thank you and the honor and the privilege of introducing the 42nd President of the United States, President Bill Clinton.
What you could say. Hello. Well, thank you, everyone, and happy holidays. And I want to thank Ann Camps, who's been a friend of Hillary's and mine for as long as she's been here. And Carol, I want to thank you for being here on behalf of your mother, Betty. We miss her so much tonight. I want to thank all the volunteers. As you well know, this place wouldn't run without you. And I particularly appreciate not only the fact that you volunteer so much and do so well, and you'd be amazed. I go all over the world and I run into people who've been to the library. And every single person I have ever met anywhere in the world, and obviously all over America, comments on the volunteers. I think they enjoy you more than they do the exhibits. And you have no idea how much that means to me, because when I was president, I tried to run the White House in a way that people would think I cared about them and how they were doing, whether they voted for me or not. And so it's really important to me that you give people that feeling, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I also want to thank you for the charitable work you do as a group throughout the year and at the holiday season for other people. That also means a lot. My job is to present these two awards, and I always love doing this. This is the third Clinton Presidential Center Lifetime Achievement Award, first, given to volunteers who've reached the 10,000-hour milestone. Our honoree is both a founding volunteer and a past Volunteer of the Year, having been recognized for her work in 2009. She has now dedicated, listen to this, more than 11,725 hours to the center, with 2,110 just this year alone. In the center's 10 years, she spent an amazing amount of time and energy recording our center's history in 39 beautiful, lovingly created scrapbooks, which I would like to see sometime. In so doing, she has preserved the memories of the events and people who have been part of our story so far. Finally, I like her for a totally irrelevant reason. Because like my late mother-in-law, whom I adored, she loves Dancing with the Stars. It is my great pleasure to present the Clinton Presidential Center Lifetime Achievement Award to Patsy Pack. Here, say something.
I will. Oh, all right. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. I can contribute to all of y'all to do that after 39 books and everything. I don't know what happened to that one more. But anyway, thank you so much, and I've enjoyed it, and I hope there'll be 10 more years. What about 20 years? And I saw your friend the other day, Mike McLeod, and I had a long time with him.
Great. I also want to say that I hope all of you enjoyed the 10th anniversary observation and the celebrations and the seminars. Now for the 2014 Volunteer of the Year. This is always a hard task because so many of our volunteers do so much, and it presents a real challenge. This year's Volunteer of the Year is also a founding volunteer who's given more than 6,000 hours since 2004 and more than 800 this year. There were some long shifts of service during the 10th anniversary celebration. He worked for 18 hours, willing to help out in any way he could. He never lets easy get in the way of doing the right thing. So I am especially grateful to present the 2014 Volunteer of the Year Award to Tony Maloney.
Really?
Even with your Cornhusker thing.
I've got to tell you, I'll tell the story. Thank you, everybody. President Clinton was looking at my pin up here. I have a Nebraska pin, big Alabama fan here. I think it was in about the third year of the center being open here, and Dr. Alsabrook was director before Ms. Terry came along, and he had Chancellor Perlman here. Most of you don't know him, but he was the chancellor at the University of Nebraska, still is. And he was touring them through the library. So Dr. Alsabrook said, I want you to meet our biggest Husker fan. He's one of the volunteers here. So he brought him up to the front door, especially the day I was working there. And Dr. Alsabrook introduced me to him. I said, Chancellor Perlman, I said, very, very nice to meet you and welcome to the Clinton Center. And he said, Tony, I want you to have something. And he took his Nebraska pin off his jacket and gave it to me. I cherish this pin for two reasons. That's my team. I am an adopted hog fan, of course, but for Chancellor Perlman to give me this pin, and I wear it with great honor every time I wear the jacket, so that's where the pin came from. So nobody's given me an Arkansas pin yet, but if they did, I would wear that. It's coming. Just a couple things, and I know Ann don't want this to go too long, but you know, on the 10th anniversary, it was about 11 years ago, I saw an ad in the paper for this upcoming Clinton Presidential Library. And I answered the ad, called the number. First two people that I got to meet was Kathleen Pate and, of course, Miss Lena Moore. And Miss Lena said, Tony, I'd like you to be a volunteer at the Clinton Center. She says, I think you'll fit in greatly. She says, I like the way you project your voice, but what she really meant to say is I have a big mouth. And as some of you know, if not all of you, I've stuck my foot in my mouth many times in the 10 years around this place. Ann says I have no filter. No, I don't. I came to Arkansas about 30-some years ago from Nebraska. Moved here because they shipped our jobs from Union Pacific down here. We didn't get a lot of support up in Nebraska to keep our jobs, but we moved, never been to Arkansas before in my life, and now this is my adopted home. I love it. I just love it here in Arkansas. When President Clinton and Governor Clinton was at the governor's mansion, nobody took notice of us up in Nebraska, and Union Pacific had one of the biggest employment of people up there in the state of any other company. But when we moved here, we heard from the governor all the time. You probably remember the barbecues that we used to have. He would invite the AFL-CIO, the electricians, the machinists, which I am with the Machinists Union, to the governor's mansion. And great barbecues. I'm sure maybe Mr. Osborne had something to do with that, you know, putting on those barbecues at that time. But I'll tell you what, that said something to me that this man took the time out in a state that doesn't embrace unions too much, to invite all us union guys to the governor's mansion, shake our hands, eat a little barbecue, and make us feel welcome here, as he does everybody. And, you know, in the back of my mind, when I answered that ad and I met Miss Lena for the first time and Kathleen, I went away with this. I said, you know, that man helped us, he cares about us, and if any time somewhere down the line I get a chance to thank him, I'm gonna do that. I don't need to shake his hand and thank him. I've been doing it for 10 years here, a little bit longer than 10 years, and that's my gift back to you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow. Let me say, I don't want to keep you very long, but Tony made me think of just one other thing I wanted to say. First, I want to thank Stephanie and Bruce and Terry Garner and Skip Rutherford and all the people that oversee everything that happens here. But I came of age and entered politics at a time when people were actually supposed to go talk to each other and look them in the eye and ask them for their votes and tell them what they thought and have honest disagreements and treat each other like they had half good sense and they were probably decent human beings. And I remember the first election where negative television ads seemed to have profound influence in our state was 1980. And it's sort of a little bit in 78. Then it kind of picked up steam. And then the Supreme Court made what I believe was an erroneous decision in the Citizens United case and one or two others. And now there's basically this blinding attempt to homogenize America and put us into warring camps. And I think it's not a good thing for us. You can't run any democracy in a successful way unless you have inclusive politics and inclusive economics. And the parties should argue about how best to achieve inclusive economics, but they never get to the argument unless they have inclusive politics. So when you treat people in a certain way when they're here, you may remind them of that. I was thinking about that the other day when President Reagan signed the bipartisan tax reform bill. It's a big, complicated piece of legislation. And there were unintended consequences. And so they had a special committee set up in the Congress that was bipartisan, and on a more or less instantaneous basis, whenever there were practical problems, both the people that voted for the law and the people that voted against the law were trying to make it work, and they would say, and the committees would report out these amendments to fulfill the intent of the law and stop the adverse unintended consequences. Now we're all rooting for each other to fail. And the people who do this kind of work, even though people say they want it, are routinely punished at the polls for doing so. So you just think about that. When people come here, whenever you're nice to them, inquiring of them, most people who come here probably did vote for me. Most people who come to presidential libraries probably supported the people they did. And now I'd be interested to see, there's no study of the political composition of people who come to presidential libraries over time, but I'm afraid that they've started to disaggregate too. Just because of this climate that exists that I think is unhealthy. So every time you come to work and you do this and you have any interaction with anybody else, you can remind people without saying anything of a time when, at least in our state, politics was personal, and that was a good thing. It did not mean you didn't have convictions. It did not mean you didn't have strong opinions. It did not mean you didn't fight for what you believed in. It just meant that there were some things you wouldn't do. And I'll never forget one time when Newt Gingrich told my chief of staff, Erskine Bowles, that that was a central weakness of my administration and our party. He said, you know, Erskine, there are some things you just won't do. And that puts you at a terrible disadvantage. I'd like to go to my grave thinking, still, there are some things that I just won't do. And so I thank you for giving people the feeling that they're welcome here. Whether they're from America or from another country, whatever their politics are, whatever their philosophy is, we want them to believe in the promise of democracy and the prospect of progress. But I can tell you, I work all over the world. It only comes when you have inclusive decision-making and when the economy works for everybody. And you just embody that. And for that, at this holiday season, I am profoundly grateful. Thank you.
want to make sure that our next award is not overlooked. Thank you, Henry. I need to ask Horace Springer and Elizabeth Smith to come forward because we are about to present one of our most important awards, the Spirit of the Center Award. A special thanks to President Clinton for being here. You know, he comes every year. And we're all here because of him. So thank you, sir. We really care and appreciate your being here. Thank you. For beautiful eyes, look for the good in others. For beautiful words, speak only words of kindness. And for poise, walk with the knowledge you are never alone. A job worth doing is worth doing better. Our first Spirit of the Center Award winner is someone who does such a good job because it is important to her to do it right and to do it well. She is truly a center volunteer. She works in the foundation office and in the museum, but it is her kindness that grabs you and her gentle way of being both determined and compassionate. Regardless of her personal demands, she is always a happy, bubbly smile ready for each guest. But don't take it from me. Here are the words of another volunteer. My first volunteer was to meet was Marvis Williams, who welcomed me so graciously that I thought, yes, this might be it. I told Marvis I had come to see the Oscar exhibit, but I thought I might be interested in volunteering too. She gave me one of her guest admission tickets and suggested I go up and view the exhibit, and when I came back downstairs, she would have an application ready for me. I had toured the library twice before, but this time it called to me. Everywhere I went, there was a smiling, friendly volunteer welcoming me. As I came back down from touring the Oscar exhibit, Marvis had the application ready for me. There were several other friendly volunteers that day who wished me luck and hoped that I would come back and become a volunteer. I must say, they made me feel special that day. It was then that I felt this overwhelming feeling of, ta-da, this is it. This is my new adventure. This year, Marvis Williams gave 447 hours to the Clinton Center with a lifetime hours of 2,357 hours. Horace Springer, will you please present the 2014 Spirit of the Center Award to Marvis Williams. You may remember that our Spirit of the Center Award was created to honor the memory of Ken Schultz, a founding volunteer who passed away in 2009. Until a couple of weeks before his death, Ken made the drive from Hot Springs Village to the Clinton Center every Wednesday morning for almost 5 years. I could hear him coming down the hall, not by his footsteps, but by his whistling. Ken never complained, never berated anyone, never had a bad day. We love Ken, and we miss his spirit every day. I don't think Wednesdays have ever been the same since. Now, each year, we honor 2 volunteers who have brought that same happy, giving heart with them each time they volunteer. They share their joy, their kindness, their love for the center with each and every volunteer and visitor. The spirit of the center, the joy of public service is in their heart. Our second Spirit of the Center award goes to a founding volunteer with a winning personality and a very kind heart. For each of the hundreds of hours he has committed to the Clinton Center, he has greeted each guest and volunteer with respect and consideration. When we call, he answers. And now he lives in Little Rock. And he is always here to help out anyone who needs him. He is especially wonderful at making everyone feel important and needed. He thinks before he speaks, and he cares about those around him. He exemplifies the volunteer spirit of brotherhood and service. This year, he gave 218 hours, and his lifetime hours are 2,068. This year, it is a joy to ask Elizabeth Smith, our 2013 Spirit of the Center Award winner, to present the 214 Spirit of the Center Award to Dick Picard.
Keep a hell of a secret.
We did.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Elizabeth, you have your picture. I will not tell you what he just said to me.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I don't know the meaning of that word. In living up to my promise to you to lessen the time of our program and to give more time to partying and food, I want you to know that this concludes our program. Please make sure that you notice the beautiful posters that we have outside on the red carpet that tell you who the award winners are, like the Academy Awards that were previously awarded. We want you to know that every year we do our best to make it a little bit better and a little bit more fun. Tomorrow, like the Rose Bowl parade, we will start planning for next year. But thank you all. Thank you for being here. Lori, thank you for doing the impossible and getting your grumpy old husband here in spite of his pain. And Gwen, thank you for getting him out of his khakis and into his suit. We appreciate it. Thank you to all the award winners. Thank you to all of you who have given so much to us for 10 years. Here's to the next 10 years. The bar and the food is now open.